Welcome to the Dignity Leadership Learning Lab. I'm Leadership Leah, the Chief Education Officer, and this is my esteemed and very excited colleague, Leadership Leo, the Chief Instructional Officer. We are on a mission to take you from being a management monster to a leadership ace. If Rich can do it, so can you. Ready to launch in 3, 2, 1.
In this module, we'll discuss what is a leadership model, examples of famous leadership models, and the Dignity Leadership Model. What is a leadership model? When it comes to being a good leader, people can have different ways of interpreting what is considered good. This is why there are many different models that highlight different areas such as who should be leading, what a leader should do, and how leaders use their power. The definition of leadership models can be thought of as a way to lead groups of people effectively. These models can range in many different forms depending on the situation or environment they are dealing with. They are usually models because they show an example and possibly a diagram of how to handle situations that you wouldn't necessarily be able to cover in real life due to time constraint. Many different leadership models exist that try to describe the qualities of a great leader. Whether it's a specific set of traits or an environment in which great leaders can be developed, there is one thing we know for sure. Leaders and bosses are not the same thing. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The leader leads and the boss drives." And we couldn't agree more.
Great Man Theory by Charles Bird.
The Great Man Theory of Leadership is one of the oldest modern-day leadership models. It states that great leaders are born, not made. These individuals come into the world possessing certain abilities and traits that enable them to lead while shaping the very course of history. Under this theory, prominent leaders throughout history were born to lead and deserve to do so by virtue of their natural abilities and gifts. According to Gallup research, this is not particularly accurate. In fact, 90% of the world's population acquire leadership skills, while just 10% are born with natural leadership ability.
Behavioral Theory.
Behavioral leadership theory is a management philosophy that evaluates leadership according to the actions displayed in the workplace. Supporters of this theory believe that to be effective, all you need to do is learn a certain set of actions. There are several key styles of behavioral leadership. Each one involves a different set of behaviors and may be more or less effective in certain work environments. Here are several. People-oriented leaders, task-oriented leaders, participative leaders, status quo leaders, indifferent leaders, dictatorial leaders, country club leaders, and opportunistic leaders.
Grid Theory by Robert Blake and Jane Mountain.
Many managers face a common dilemma when they need to manage a project. Should I focus on tasks or should I focus on people? The managerial grid theory of leadership is a framework that determines the answer for you. It helps you pick between task-oriented and people-oriented approaches. The management grid model was proposed by Robert Blake and Jane Moulton, two management theoreticians. The model was a product of their research at Exxon, where they worked to improve leader effectiveness. In this theory, leadership is seen as a combination of concern for people, employees, and a concern for production, the company. The grid theory leadership model identifies 5 different types of leader: impoverished management, country club management, middle of the road management, team management, and authority compliance management. Each leader will have to adjust their approach depending on the situation.
Path Goal Theory by Robert J. House.
Path goal theory of leadership is a popular leadership theory that has been developed by Robert J. House, a professor of leadership and organizational behavior. According to this theory, leaders change their style based on the situation they are in. In other words, the leaders adopt a path or a style with the intention of achieving a goal, the objective. The path goal theory is highly relevant today because it teaches us that no leader should have just one style. Rather, they should be able to change their styles based on the situation at hand. The theory says that the job of a leader is to support their team and remove obstacles from their path to success, so they can perform at the highest level possible. In other words, leaders help people accomplish what they need to get done. How do leaders do this? The theory says that leaders are flexible and they change their styles depending on the situation. They may be more direct or more supportive as needed. The goal path model proposes 2 factors influencing a leader's behavior. Environmental factors, for example, workplace culture, timeliness, and resource, and team characteristics, control, experience, and perceived ability. In order to lead effectively, you must understand these factors and adjust your behavior accordingly. This will create a positive environment where your team can thrive.
What is leadership?
Have you ever tried to define leadership? Give it a try. Grab a notebook, open a Google Doc, or use your smartphone and write out your definition of leadership. Hit pause. I can wait. What is your definition? My guess is that you did not mention anything about management. I would venture to believe what you developed was something about people and what it takes to influence them. Our friends at Dignity Leadership Consulting have created their own model of leadership. There are courses in the Dignity Leadership Learning Laboratory that go into more detail. But for now, we're going to give you the 50,000-foot view. Leadership is key to any company's success. It's a unique relationship between a leader and their followers. Leadership is a balancing act. There are many different approaches to leadership, and some are better suited to certain situations than others. One of the most important qualities of a good leader is knowing how to identify which approach will work best in each situation. The Dignity Leadership model believes that there are a couple of foundational assumptions that must be understood for leadership to exist. First, you must have followers. You cannot be a leader without people to lead. Second, it assumes that you have a need for change and understand the principles of change. That's what leadership is all about, knowing how to make changes and implementing them effectively. Last but not least, it assumes that you have some practical knowledge within the industry. The first step towards becoming a good leader is learning about these aspects of leadership and how they apply to your specific field or organization. Next, we have intrapersonal skills. Intrapersonal skills are the abilities and behaviors inside of you that help you manage your emotions, deal with problems, and learn new things. When it comes to intrapersonal skills, self-awareness and the ability to control your own thoughts and feelings are critical for leadership. Your intrapersonal synergies are built on the foundations of your emotional talents, which makes it easier for you to interact with people. You develop intrapersonal skills by building upon your emotional talents. Your intrapersonal and interpersonal skills are deeply connected. However, those with developed intrapersonal skills typically communicate better. Third, in the Dignity Leadership model, are intrapersonal skills. Effective interpersonal skills enable you to interact with a wide range of individuals, from suppliers and customers to your immediate coworkers, colleagues from other locations, your team members, and members of management. Having these skills could make the difference between having a successful professional life and having one spent wondering what went so horribly wrong. They make it possible for us to form a more significant and long-lasting connection at home and at work, as well as everywhere else. Let's take a look at some of the skills you will need to master in order to thrive in the Dignity Leadership model using your interpersonal skills. Communication, teamwork, team building, flexibility, not micromanagement, mentoring and coaching team members, simplicity, conflict management and resolution skills, leading by example. Developing good interpersonal skills is vital for fostering collaboration and influence, but you can't project these attributes until you have mastered your intrapersonal skills. You must begin from within. If you want to learn more about each of these, I suggest you read the book, You Are Doing It Wrong, Stop Managing and Start Leading by Richard T. Levine. Finally, the Dignity Leadership model closes with 5 values that ties everything together. Those values are trust, hope, humility, emotional intelligence, and empathy. These leadership skills and values will go a long way. Like me, you might think of more of your own to add to the list. And if you're an aspiring leader, I hope they'll provide you with inspiration and encouragement as you pursue your vision. But if you're already leading a team, it's important to remember that these qualities can be learned, even by the most qualified people, and they can be grown through new opportunities and challenges. Learning, growing, leading, and creating a world of dignity. Looking for more leadership knowledge? Check out the book, You Are Doing It Wrong. Stop Managing and Start Leading by Richard T. Levine.